Hi, hello, and welcome or welcome back to PJs and Pages. I'm Danielle, and today we're going to be talking about my book wrap-up for the month of May. So, as you can tell by the thumbnail, on this channel we talk about books, bookish things, do wrap-ups, TDRs, vlogs, book recommendations, tag videos, the whole enchilada. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Now, I think that I have these books in the order that I read them, but honestly, the first two, I can't remember which one I read first. So let's go ahead and get started with the one I think I read first, which was A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen. I have the beautiful, is this Fairy Loot or Loom Crate? Fairy Loot edition. It is an absolute stunner and a book that I thoroughly enjoyed. It is a romantasy set with like a backdrop of Norse mythology about a woman named Freya who is bound in an unwanted marriage and spends her days gutting fish but dreams of becoming a warrior. And her dreams are abruptly become reality when her husband betrays her, and it lands her in a fight to the death against his son, and Freya is forced to reveal the secret that she is in fact fate-born. I don't know I can't remember how the wording was for it, but essentially she's got special magical powers, and they find out and they basically take her and they force her into another marriage, and all the while she's got the hots for this guy's son that she was fighting, and they kind of have like this like banter going on. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's the first in a series. I don't know whether it's going to be a duology, a trilogy, a 5-book series, like no clue, but I did really enjoy it. I think there were parts of it that dragged a little bit, but for the most part I was engaged throughout the entire thing. I thought the romance was fun, the steam was steamy, and I didn't cringe, so that's a plus. But if you don't like steamy books, this might not be the one for you. There's like a couple of scenes that are definitely steamy and open door. But I think that you could probably just skip over the scenes, honestly, and it wouldn't hurt the story at all. You'd know that they happen, and that would be enough. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I haven't read a lot of stuff that is like Norse mythology based, fantasy-wise, so that was really fun and new. I liked the romance. I found Freya to be a little bit insufferable, but I really enjoyed the other characters surrounding her, and I think she grew as a person by the end of it a little bit. I think she made like stupid choices out of just like hot-headedness. Like, girl does not have her prefrontal cortex all there yet. She's very young, clearly. But I thought that it worked with the story, and I really did enjoy it. So I gave this one a 4 stars, and I'm excited to pick up the next book when it comes out. Next up, I read Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt for my Fine New Book Club, and I absolutely loved this book. The characters were just, the story was heartwarming. The characters were just, they buried themselves in your soul to live there forever, besides Cameron. We won't talk about where in the soul he went. But I really did enjoy this one a lot. This one follows Tova Sullivan, who is a widow, or she's recently widowed, and she takes a job at the aquarium as a cleaning lady. And it also follows Cameron, who has never met his father and ends up in Tova's town searching for him after he finds some evidence that the town where Tova lives might be where his father comes from. And he's basically going there to hit his father up for money because he's broke and poor and keeps losing his jobs. Yes, we know how I feel about him. And it also follows Ethan, who has been secretly in love with Tova and just is the town gossip, and he's fun. But basically they all end up in this place, and their stories all interconnect, and Tova is, I mean, for lack of a better word, she's kind of depressed. Like, she's contemplating her mortality and the fact that she has no one left because her son died or disappeared when he was 30 years ago, when he was 18, and her husband just died, and she's kind of alone in the world. She doesn't have any parents left. She doesn't have any siblings. So it's just her. And so she's really contemplating her mortality at this point. And the most important main character, the octopus, Marcellus. He's awesome. He is trapped inside of the aquarium. They captured him. They rescued him. And yeah, Tova, in her depression, forms this great relationship with him. She talks to him. She lets him do his escape artist routine every night to search for food that isn't what they're giving him in the tank and get his little snacks in. And he doesn't fall in love with her, but he forms a really strong bond, a relationship with her, and they kind of have their thing going, and it's really, really sweet. And he's just hilarious. The way that he is so not introspective, because introspective is inner. The way he views humans is so accurate and also just so funny. I absolutely loved being in his perspective. He's also the only perspective that was in first person, which was really interesting. But yeah, really enjoyed this. This was Shelby Van Pelt's first debut novel, and I can't wait to read something else that she writes, because this was phenomenal. So this one, I think I gave it 4.5 stars because I really, really enjoyed it, but it didn't give me that 5-star feeling. I don't know that it was impactful enough for me to be thinking about it forever and ever. So that is Remarkable Bright Creatures. I really enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the story. I found it to be a pretty lighthearted literary fiction. So if you're looking for something like that, I think this is definitely a book. Next up, I read Calamity by Constance Fay, and I have not heard anybody talk about this, and it is so much fun. So this one I got from my local library, and it follows Temperance Reed, who has basically taken over as captain on this spaceship, this mercenary ship, and they get this job to search this planet for this, I don't know, resource, and the client is like, okay, well, you don't have security, so you need to take my son as security on this job. And her and the son do not get along. It is an enemies to lovers space romance. How fun is that? And there are secrets, there are betrayals, there is action, and then there is just straight up a space rom-com. It was so much fun. The side characters are lovely. The found family was just so much, so lovable. Yeah, I cannot wait to read. So the second book comes out June 4th, I believe. And I am going to be picking it up. It is on Kindle Unlimited if you're interested in reading it. It has barely any reviews on Goodreads, barely any, even just, posts about it. I really, really enjoyed it. I think that a lot of people would really enjoy it. If you're into, rom-coms, but you want something just a little different, try a sci-fi rom-com, apparently. This is rom-com gold. And it's really fun because there's a lot more action in it than there usually is in a romance. So really enjoyed this one and highly recommend it. I gave it 5 stars. It did the thing. It was a romance. I didn't have any issues with it. And for this genre, this is what I would have expected. And I highly, highly recommend it. I actually think that I would read this again. Maybe not right this second, but very soon I would pick this up on a regular basis just for fun. Next up, I picked up The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue. This is another literary fiction about Rachel, who is, I think she's 21, and she's a student working at a bookstore where she meets her best friend James. They move in together, and they're just running rampant on the streets of Cork, Ireland, and just getting into all sorts of trouble. And James is a closeted gay man, and she is just this very tall, red-headed woman on the cusp of womanhood. Maybe she is a woman. She's 21. She's a woman. But yeah, they're an interesting pair, to say the least. And she falls in love with her married professor, Dr. Byrne, and she's got this huge crush on him. So he's selling a book, or he wrote a book, and James comes up with this idea to basically have this book signing event for him at the bookstore they work at, and find a way to get her to seduce her professor. And I'm gonna stop right there with the synopsis, because after that, shit gets crazy, guys. And it just, like, I did not expect it to take, from what I read on the synopsis, I did not expect it to take the turn that it did. And I really, really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. I think that the characters were messy, but they were so much fun to read about. It was like a car wreck. You just couldn't look away. They made some interesting choices, questionable choices, but I ate it up. Watching to find out what was going to happen. I actually really liked the ending of the book as well. The book actually does this thing where it's in like a dual timeline, where it's in the future, and Rachel is a full-grown adult woman with a career as a journalist, and she's pregnant, and like she's got her whole life, and she sees on the news, or she hears in a bar, that Dr. Fred Byrne is in a coma. And she, like, the whole story is her trying to piece together, like, what may have happened to him in the time period from, like, when she knew him to then. And it's just it was very good. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend it. I think I gave it 4 stars. It was not, like, life-changing, but I did really enjoy reading it when I read it, and I think it was really, really well written. So that is The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue. And finally, I read Everything I Never Told You by Celeste, and this book has been on my shelf for years. Like, we're talking about pre-pandemic? No, during the pandemic, because I read Little Fires Everywhere and I loved it. And I was like, I need to read everything this author has ever written, and it was this. So I went ahead and I bought it, and then I never picked it up. So 2020, it's been on my shelf since 2020. So I'm glad that I finally got to pick it up. It is short too, it's not very long. But it is a novel about a Chinese American family living in the 1970s in small town Ohio, and their daughter Lydia, the middle child, ends up dead in the very first chapter. That's how it starts. Lydia is dead, but they don't know this yet. Yeah. And it is basically a story about families and the roles that we play in each other's lives, the complications between mother and father, father and son, mothers and daughters, mothers and sons, and how we all struggle to understand one another. It is a story about mixed race couples and their children, and what it means to be mixed race and how it feels to be mixed race, which I really, really connected to. I'm not visibly mixed race, but I am culturally mixed race. I am Hispanic and American, and because I am white, I do not necessarily fit into either community. So it was nice to feel seen in that way in this. Also, there's a mystery element to this. So it's another one of those books that has like a dual timeline. We start finding out that Lydia's dead, and then we slowly are piecing together her life prior to this death, to figure out how and why she is dead. And I found that mystery element and that back and forth to be really, really engaging and really, really well done. You're in a third person omniscient for the whole family. So you're getting the thoughts and views of everybody in the family at these times, and it jumps from one character to another, but it wasn't confusing in any way. I think she did a really good job with it. And I really liked being in each of these characters' heads. This book made me mad. It made me sad. I talk about it in I'm going to be talking about it some more. I haven't talked about it yet. I filmed the video, but I haven't posted it yet. I have to edit it. So I will be talking about it in my AAPI reading vlog. That was when I decided to read Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month books for the month of May, because that is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So I will talk about it a little bit more in there, and you can get some more in-depth views, in-depth thoughts about this book. But I really, really, really enjoyed it. I don't know that it gave me a 5-star feeling. I'm gonna say like 4.75. I definitely had the feels, and I think that I'm gonna be thinking about this for a while. Should I just say it's 5 stars? If it's 4.75, 4.5, I don't know. I'm very on the fence about this one, because I don't know that I would reread it, because it was sad and I already know what happens, and I don't know that I want to go through it again. Maybe it is a 5-star. I'm going to go with 4.5, 4.75 stars. It was really, really good. I highly recommend it. I think a lot of people would resonate with this. But yeah, and I think it's important to read about other cultures than your own. But yeah, this was a really good book, and it was the book that I finished off the month with, and I'm so glad that I was able to do it. I got it in right in time, guys, right in the nick of time. Like, literally finished it like before midnight on the 31st. So, very proud of myself. Anywho, there were also some books that I DNF'd. I didn't read very much of Babel, because I had already started this. I read maybe 75 pages, and realized very quickly that this is not a summer reading book. So I am soft DNFing it again to pick up in a season where it is more appropriate. But I did read from that, and then I fully DNF'd The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. This one is about Belly. She escapes to Cousins Beach each summer to her family friend's summer home on the beach, and it's her mom's best friend from childhood, and she has 2 boys, and she's always been obsessed with one boy, and then she turns pretty one summer, like she grows up, and one of the other boys is interested in her, and there's another boy, and it's like a love square, and she's got a brother, and all of the characters besides one of them are pretty much insufferable. Like, just, I couldn't get into it. It is a YA contemporary. She's like 15, I think. She's 14 or 15. She might be 15. Or is she 16? I don't know. I can't remember. She's in her early teens. And I just, I found Belly to be really, really insufferable. And it's from her, like, you're living in her head. Like, it's first person, and you're just in this 15-year-old girl's head, and she's obnoxious, and she's self-centered, and I just could not jive with her. And I thought that it was just me, that maybe it's just that I'm not a YA contemporary girly anymore, but yeah, no, I read some reviews online that it's not just me. I'm not the only one who feels this way. So definitely not the book for me. I think that it could be the book for someone, so I gave it 2 stars, even though I'm DNFing it. Because I know that even if I had finished this, it would have ended up being a 2-star book. So, but I just, you know, too many books, too little time. I decided that it wasn't worth continuing to read when I knew that I was not going to like it and enjoy it. I have actually watched the show and enjoyed that more. So, I don't know what that says about me, but the show was better. I actually only watched the first season. I haven't watched any of these subsequent seasons, so maybe I didn't love the show as much as I thought I did either. I don't know. Like, I haven't felt this burning desire to finish it. Let's put it that way. And the book was not good, in my opinion. Just not the characters. Okay, I take that back. The writing is great. I think Jenny Han is a phenomenal writer. I just don't like her characters. And if you can't like the characters, it's hard to get behind the story of a book. So that's The Summer I Turned Pretty. On a positive note, I read 5 books in DNF 2. I actually read some books, guys. I may be out of my... Oh, wait, did I not finish any? Did I not finish any ebooks? Oh yeah, I read 1984. Duh. I read 1984 by George Orwell. I finally finished that. That was a reread. Really enjoyed it. And then I'm in the middle of like several, because I keep picking up an ebook and then just realizing that maybe it's not the time for me to read it and putting it down halfway. I think June is going to be the month where I just kind of finish all of these ebooks that I have started. So yeah, that's where we're at. But yeah, June is going to be a good reading month. I can feel it. I'm going to start continuing with the Throne of Glass series, starting with Queen of Shadows again, starting back up with Queen of Shadows. And I've got some book club books that I'm really excited about. I've got Vampires del Norte, Expiration Dates by Rebecca Searle. I'm going to be reading The Man Who Died Twice. It's very ambitious, especially considering that I'm going to be traveling quite a bit in June. Like, half of June I'm going to be traveling, and then the first half of June we're going to be dealing with my son's surgery for a feeding tube. So I don't know where I thought that I was going to have all the time to read, but hopefully I get some reading in. And that is where I am at. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, let's go ahead and let's use an octopus emoji for Remarkably Bright Creatures. And if you read any of these books and you have thoughts and opinions, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to have a discourse about some of them, especially if you had different thoughts than me on The Summer I Turned Pretty. I really want to hear people who have liked it, what made them like it, because I'm having a hard time understanding it. But yeah, hopefully you found some books that you would be interested in reading, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!